Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales is now streaming live on Fun Media at fun927.com and is always on Facebook, YouTube, X, Twitch, and at tv5wrestling.com.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hales and special guests.
I am so freaking excited. ORH is so fired up. Calvin Lindsay and Steppenfire and Dennis King and Thomas and all kinds of people here for a live edition of the March 17th version of Talking Memphis Wrestling. We'll get right to it because I'm so proud. I'm so fired up. A packed show. We'll go back in history. This show, we look at Memphis wrestling history. We will go deep diving in to the last great feud of the USWA, the PG-13 Rock and Roll Express USWA Smoky Mountain feud. We will do that here today. Very rare photos of the fabulous Jackie Fargo, a ton I had never seen coming up Al Tuttle. We'll show those today. Hey, there was a disaster. There was chaos in OVW wrestling. We'll talk about that. Again, loaded on the talk, loaded on the fun, loaded on the video, and for the first time in several weeks, man, I was thinking, even though for the last week I've been so excited about his return, 2 minutes before we went off the air, he's having email issues. It looks like it was just going to be me because Doc's not here and Chris is not here and Michael's not here. And it looked, Julie Lates, it looks, PJ, it looks everybody like Pat Trammell was going to have disaster. He's in Birmingham, Alabama. I want to get right to it right away because we got to get into this show, and I'm tickled pink. It's a pleasure to welcome back one of the OGs, my original co-host, original panel member, a friend more than anybody of me and this show. Let's put your hands together, everybody at home, whether you're in Tennessee or Thailand, put your hand together, Adam Dunn. We make welcome and bring in right now my good friend. Here's Pat Trammell.
And it worked.
Yes.
Worked. All right. Good to be home. Very, very good to be home with everybody.
Are you on your phone or did you get the computer fixed?
I'm on my phone. The computer wants a password to get into my email, but it won't tell me where to put the password in, and I wouldn't know it anyway. So I'll have to get with an expert after that. But anyway, so good to see everybody. I've missed everybody. So great to see y'all.
Hey, first take time, Pat Trammell.
Well, first take is you can see what I'm wearing. I don't know how many of our friends know, but yesterday was a very, very special day. And not because it was the first day before St. Patrick's Day. Yesterday would have been the 100th birthday of the legendary Lance Russell. And you know, it doesn't seem like he should ever be 100 years old, because he's always going to be. It's always going to be 1983, and he's going to have the mic in his hand. But it's a special day to remember somebody that meant so much to Memphis wrestling and so much to us. And I gave Shane a call, and you know, he appreciated that and said, "Tell everybody hello." And just something I wanted to remember. So happy birthday, Lance Russell. We'll see you soon.
All right, same here. We all love Lance Russell. I'm sure sometimes during the show today, because I don't think we've ever had a show where we've shown video that we didn't hear from Lance Russell. Do you agree with that?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Can't have a Memphis wrestling show without Lance Russell, and we pay homage to Lance Russell every week. I appreciate everybody. Alexander, I'll try to get to your question later on if we have time. This is an absolute 100% packed, loaded show. I want to get right to it. Pat, there was chaos. There was a disaster. There was a potential death, Calvin Lindsay, a potential death in OVW wrestling. Did you hear about that a few days ago, Mr. Trammell?
I did not. So I'm as anxious as everybody on to hear about it.
Okay, Adam, if you would, producing, and I got to make sure that we look at this and make sure Adam's still on board. He is. If you could search down and find that OVW graphic so I can give you some information about OVW wrestling. So, the two of the earliest developmental territories for the WWF at the time was my company, Power Pro Wrestling, and about a year later, Ohio Valley Wrestling. Have you heard of Ohio Valley Wrestling? Well, in 1993, it was founded by Danny Davis. Then Al Snow and some investors bought in, and Jim Cornette was Danny Davis's partner. Developmental with the WWF went from 99 to February 2008. Cornette left OVW July 10th, 2005. Currently, Morley Sports Management Investor Group in United Kingdom owned it. I can guarantee you the people running that company now are not Danny Davis and not Jim Cornette. This would not have happened on their watch. We have other pictures that will show. On Thursday, they had a television taping and they were going live. Referee Dallas Edwards was injured. As you see there, OVW referee Dallas Edwards hospitalized with brain injury following a horrific accident. Wrestlers, listen to this, people. Wrestlers continued to perform as he suffered a seizure in the ring. The spot was, the babyface was coming from the top. The heel misdirected him, and this was a planned spot into the referee. The referee in a planned spot knew he was taking the spot, knew that was coming. However, dude, pretty inexperienced, plowed in to the referee. Again, this is 20-something-year-old Dallas Edwards. I read later that he lives in St. Louis. He travels to different parts of the country and referees. And because OVW is on television, and because of the fact they're a former WWF developmental, because there's a lot of history of that promotion, a lot of people can come, probably either gets very little money or none at all, or none at all. This could have been because, dude, Dallas had convulsions, had a seizure. There was no trained medical. Apparently now, I think earlier today or yesterday, he was released from the hospital. This could have been a critical situation. Some of the keys is don't put inexperienced people in ring, TV, house events. Don't put them in the ring. Have somebody there from the office, from the promotion that knows how to make decisions on the fly. Obviously, that didn't happen at all. This could have been a death. This could have been a terrible situation that took place in Louisville, Kentucky. This went worldwide news, of obviously Louisville news at all. This young referee, Dallas Edwards, could have been killed very easily. The wrestlers continued working around him as he was having a seizure in the middle of the fucking ring. I know I try not to cuss anymore. This is people not knowing what they're doing. Now, in just a minute, I will tell you when I was in a similar sort of situation in 1999 that was handled a hell of a lot different. A hell of a lot different. Now, Pat, you look at Twitter, you look at Jim Cornette. He has, I kept my, instead of saying the F word one time, I think I calmly told it the way it was. Can you imagine with Jim Cornette's baby that he sees at this point now? You can just imagine what his response was. Now, your response, hearing this story for the first time. Here's Pat Trammell.
Well, I mean, I look, there is, as you know, better than I do, and better than 99.9% of the people on the face of the earth, that, wrestling has changed, and, the way it's taught is changed, and, how wrestlers learn or not has changed. Frankly, I'm surprised there's not more of this going on. But I don't understand why something like that's happening in the ring. I guess the guys were going through their predetermined match and just kept working it. I don't understand that. And I mean, my layman's impression is, as promotions go, OVW is probably pretty sophisticated, right? As underneath promotions go.
It's not as sophisticated as it used to be when it had Rip Rogers, Danny Davis, and Jim Cornette training them.
Well, that's a very, very good point. Who owns that now, Randy?
As I said in that opening spiral, it is owned now. Well, it's sold by Danny Davis in the early 2000s. Cornette left in 2005, so it was later than that. About 2021, Danny Davis got out, and Al Snow and investors bought into the thing. And Danny Davis and Jim Cornette, who had already gone away, Danny Davis went away. Al Snow was in charge. However, in April 2025, is what I think is a money grab. They sold the company to Morley Sports Management, a management sports company in the United Kingdom. Do you think they come to Louisville, Kentucky on a Thursday night for TV tapings? And do you think they know how to handle a disaster in the ring? Do you think that?
Well, it's hard to handle that from the UK for sure.
Now, all kinds of people have making comments, and at one time, Al Snow was a owner. He might be a minority owner now. I'm not sure. The majority owners are Morley Sports Management from United Kingdom. Because I'll tell you the way it is after research, not just research on Facebook or Google. ORH talks to some people. This is just a horrific situation, and it could have led to the death, absolutely led to the death of this young referee, Dallas Edwards. Now, let's jump to 1999. We had a situation, and this was a time period that we had lost our developmental deal for the first time, and we did have some young talent, but everybody that worked for Power Pro were professionals. Everybody was trained by a veteran, and I would not put in a feature type of match or really any other match where you're having a competitive match if somebody I wasn't comfortable that people knew what they were doing and they were trained. And they were trained. So this particular time we had a 6-man tag team match. And this 6-man tag team match involved the Texas Outlaws and Rick Havoc against the Assassins and Bulldog Reigns. Now, Bulldog Reigns, of everybody in that match, was probably the veteran wrestler and saw him in a lot of very good matches, and he could work with anybody. And one of my favorite of the local wrestlers, even though he came from Georgia, he was great. He was doing a spot with Rick Havoc, simple, where he drops an elbow, and it was too snug. It was too snug, Pat. All of a sudden, as I'm up in the control room and watching the thing, you could tell in seconds. As soon as that elbow drop that went a little stiff, Rick Havoc started having a seizure. He started having convulsions. I immediately said to the announcers, I said, he's hurt. Go to break now, urgent now. Boom, in 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 5 seconds, whatever it was, we were to break. Then 2 minutes later, after that 2-minute break, what the people couldn't see, because we came out with a 2-shot of Dave and Corey, and we had 2 minutes to figure this out. I had, with Brandon Baxter's help from upstairs, and again, we had to communicate to the announcers and communicate to the director of the show. So quickly, I say, cameras, don't go to the ring, because at that point, we had whatever medical people we had in the building, not many, but we had help in the ring. We had the opponents cleared, the ring cleared. We called 911, and so the hospitals in Memphis are right down the street. So when we got back on the air, Dave and Corey said there was a situation where Rick Havoc got injured, said we are waiting for an ambulance to arrive here in the studio right now. However, until we get clarification, until we find out Rick is going to be all right, said we're not going to go back live with this show right now. Right now, our director, Mark, was instructed by Randy to pull a video from an exciting match that happened last week on Power Pro Wrestling, and we'll show that right now. We go through 2 segments like that, updating the audience. It was live television. It was seconds that we had to make that decision, and we got out of the situation. And by the time the ambulance got there and they got him going and they stopped the seizure and they rushed him to the hospital. And I think Adam told me that, and I didn't remember this, but that's why I count on Adam. It was 3 or 4 weeks and Rick was back in action. Pat, as I tell that story here today on this program, I tell it a cliche that you hear me say, you hear a lot of people say. Professional wrestling is not ballet. There's been many instances, including somebody in Mexico a few weeks ago that was doing a simple spot of hitting the ropes and broke his neck by hitting the ropes wrong. Died right there in Mexico. Died, Pat, died. So I think now, couple things. I think now that everybody's smart to the business, and all these shows like this and Jim Cornette show and so many others tell the tricks of the trade. And I think the audience sometimes, Pat, think there's no way anybody could get seriously hurt or could get killed in professional wrestling going bad. Well, it goes back to a matter of control. As Al Snow, who I think, even though he's not a majority owner, is part of the management, he said, be careful what you say, people, because Al Snow said after some dangerous AEW spot, Pat, and we all know they're reckless. We all know they're reckless. But Al says, I can guarantee you somebody will die sooner or later in an AEW ring. AEW ring. Well, I can't think of any incidences. Can you, Pat, where anybody went into a seizure in an AEW ring? No. No. But we now have this situation. But do you think it goes back? You're being all adamant. Did you want to say something?
No, I was just thinking about something.
Go ahead.
You know, if I had ridden from, and I'm not particularly athletic, if I had ridden from Memphis to Jonesboro, from Memphis to Tupelo, from Memphis to Nashville, from Memphis to Louisville, in the car with Lawler and Dundee and Buddy Landell and Dutch and Jerry Jarrett and Tojo and all that kind of stuff, for 2, 3, 4 years before I really got off the bottom, I would learn how to wrestle because they would teach me. But I feel like now there's so little that is done on teaching that's not gymnastics and aerobatics. And you don't get to practice your craft every night or 4 nights a week or 5 nights a week. Or, I think sometimes I've heard Cornette talk about a weekly schedule and, somebody 6, 7 times a week, 8 times a week maybe. So,
absolutely.
I mean, so, and I mean, there's a difference between a 8-minute headlock and a suplex off the second rope that some guy's trying to put together with the guy sitting on the rope jumping on it and all that kind of stuff. So it seems to me to become more and more dangerous as and look, the reality of it is pick your most worked underneath guy in Memphis in the 1980s. Probably 5 of the 10 top champions in the if you want to say there's three national wrestling promotions have not wrestled as many matches as that guy underneath did in 3 years.
True.
Right? So it's
absolutely true.
It's it's all about more and more, stunning moves to the crowd and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely true. To sum this up, the OVW issue with Dallas Edwards could have been killed. And Pat, I think I sent you the video of that. Did you not see it?
I
Did
did.
you watch it?
Did.
Horrifying, right?
Awful, terrible, just frightening.
Man, we started kind of with a somber note, but still, I think it was our responsibility as we cover all of professional wrestling, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And that was the bad and the ugly. We're going to do that. We certainly cover that when there's breaking news and always have here on Talking Memphis Wrestling. Man, I am going to talk to you, Pat, about something that we're going to be the running thread through this show, as we have Adam helping us with the video here. And some of this is going to be a little complicated, but we are going to talk about, Pat Trammell, the last great feud in Memphis wrestling. And Adam, if we can find that graphic, as I can read some information, a graphic of Louisville, of the action of the Louisville Gardens, the building of the Louisville Gardens. If you can find that slide we were looking to last night. March 1994. It was Monday Night Memories, the very first Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame, a great night of action. Then the next years, we did it twice. We did Memory Night. We did Legends Night, and we did it in June of 1995. On June the 10th, we did Memphis Memories 2 on a Saturday night. Then on Sunday, June the 11th, it was a night to remember at this beautiful building that you're seeing right now, the Louisville Gardens in Louisville, Kentucky, the night of the Legends, night to remember on June the 11th, 1995. Here is the card. Gorgeous George III against Super Mario in the worst wrestling match I've ever seen in my life. Then a U.S. Ladies title match, U.S. champion Debbie Combs against Jackie Moore, Miss Texas. The next match for the Smoky Mountain Heavyweight Championship, Buddy Landell, the Nature Boy, against Tracy Smothers, followed by the Louisville USWA debut of Billy Jack Haynes against Brickhouse Brown. Then, for the USWA Tag Team Championship, in the first meeting ever of the two teams, in the match that absolutely stole the freaking show. We've watched before, we'll watch again today. PG-13 against the Rock and Roll Express, followed by the fabulous ones, Stan Lane and Steve Kern, managed by Jim Cornette, of all people, against Doug Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich, managed by, of all people, Ronnie P. Gossett. A match that was a flashback to the 70s, a grudge match. Lumberjack Joe LeDuc against Jerry, the King Lawler. Final match with the Best of Louisville Battle Royal, 10 men, and it determined the Best of Louisville. Brian Christopher won that match. We also had, and we'll show some of it in a little bit, a parade of stars from the legend of Memphis wrestling. Pat, we saw Gypsy Joe, Frank Morrell, Corsica and Sarah Joe, Corsica Joe and Sarah Lee, Cora Combs, Jerry Lawler's first tag team partner, Jim White, referee and wrestler Tommy Marlin, Big Phil Hickerson, Bullet Bob Armstrong, Joe LeDuc, Eddie Marlin, Jerry Jarrett, Christine Jarrett, and the fabulous one himself, often imitated, never duplicated. Jackie Fargo was in the house for the first time in decades. This was Sunday, June the 11th, a super crowd at the Louisville Gardens, a night to remember. Before we get into the opening introductions of this great event, your reaction to the verbiage I just spit out at you. Hey, Joe Mobley, excuse me, Pat. Hey, Joe, and hello, everybody. Appreciate it very much.
You know that I never knew. I mean that's like the Memphis memories writ large in Louisville, and I guess I just never realized that y'all had done that as well. That is fantastic.
It was a unique thing, and I will get into
Those of us that haven't been there. Talk to us a little bit about the Louisville Garden as a facility.
the Louisville Garden as a facility. The Louisville Garden as a facility went back in the war days, was a National Guard type of armory. It was an armory in Louisville. In the 70s, probably 73, 74, I'm not sure, it was converted, even though they were having wrestling matches weekly in Louisville. Even Gulas Welch Jarrett chose. But then 72, 73, they changed the name of it to the Louisville Gardens. It was downtown Louisville, Kentucky. It held about 6,500 people. It was on Muhammad Ali Boulevard in good old Louisville, Kentucky. And one of my absolute favorite venues without a doubt in the world, Pat. It was just fantastic.
All right.
Any other comments from
who in Memphis? And now I know the answer to this, but we won't speak of the obvious. Who in Memphis was particularly over in Louisville?
In this era, Brian Christopher, PG-13, that was the top baby faces. Okay. Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich. At that point, Bill Dundee certainly was in and out. And Jerry Lawler, commitment with the WWE, he had probably taken a lighter schedule than he ever had in Louisville. He wasn't there much. Rich Gilbert, PG-13, heading into this show. And that's why I wanted to take PG to the next level. This is a long time plan. When I took over in 94, they were underneath babyface heel tag team, then a babyface tag team. I saw something in them, so I pushed them to the moon. This was the second level. I needed a credible opponent. And so this is what I knew was going to be. And I wish on the video we're going to show the entrance, because PG came out. I paid for a spotlight from the building. That cost me cost us a couple extra $100. Jerry Jarrett probably went into a coma till he saw that thing. I was sitting with Jerry Jarrett, Pat. This is an honest God story. In the back bleachers that was blocked off from the audience, that music played, and he was in WWF at the time, or he had just got back, and he wasn't watching our television. So we were sitting there, and he said, "What match is this going to be?" I said, "Kid," I said, "this is Rock and Roll Express against PG-13. He said, "That's the main event type of match." I said, "Well, it's third or fourth match from the tie. You have PG in that spot?" You know, that's how far away he was from the territory. And he said, "Do you think the people will buy it?" Then soon Hilks came out first, little mixed. He said, "I'm surprised there's some booze there. I'm surprised though there was some booze for the rock and roll.
So he thought they were going to be totally underneath to the rock and roll.
Yeah, he thought it was a vehicle to me paying talent legends to come in to go over.
This was what I've heard referred to as a squash match.
Yeah, I don't think he thought that. I think that just a good clean win, a competitive match type of thing. But that's certainly a good point, Pat. But so the music played for PG. PG is backstairs, back behind the riser, and PG, instead of coming up the aisle, they came up those back stairs and went on the stage. And then I had the spotlight guy hit PG. I thought the reaction of the people, again, almost a sellout. And the people absolutely exploded. Jerry Jarrett had a big ass chew of Red Man. And he started coughing, about spitting the thing out. I thought he was going to freaking have a medical crisis, and I started patting him on the back, and he says, "Damn, kid, what the hell have you done?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Lawler's not going to get that reaction tonight. Neither are the Babs." He said, "I doubted Jackie Fargo does." He said, "I've never seen anything like it, and I was over in this town." He said, "Jesus fucking Christ." So the people absolutely went bananas. Absolutely went bananas. Now, we're going to go back to just tell you I think, classy way and a different way to open this night to remember show. And remember, Adam, is that after I call for us to get out of it, keep it up there, or we can go by and fast forward. This is just the open of a video. Randy West was the great cameraman, producer, the brains behind the production of this thing. And we are going to now, if I can find the name thing, and I have, Pat, I think you will really like this. Everybody pay attention. This is great stuff we're playing from A Night to Remember, June the 15th in Louisville, Kentucky.
And I know the last thing you want is for me to sit here and talk for a long time, so let's get
Announcer Dean Hill.
Ladies and gentlemen, my pleasure to introduce you to the man that we've grown accustomed to seeing every Sunday morning on USWA Championship Wrestling and the voice of the Mid-South Coliseum. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. Corey Macklin.
To be here tonight, I promise you, a night to remember. Indeed, right here, history is being made in Louisville, Kentucky, right here at the Gardens. And tonight, for this special night to remember, one of Louisville's own is here with us tonight. Would you please help me welcome Jim Cornette?
The mouth of Louisville, Kentucky. Good old Jim Cornette, June the 15th, 1995. The prodigal son returned.
You know something? When I first came through those doors there about
myself here taking pictures for a long time. I got the chance to go a lot of places I never thought I was going to go. But I've been to the Omni, and I've been to Madison Square Garden, and I've been to the Superdome, and as far as I'm concerned, there ain't no better place to watch a wrestling match than the Louisville Garden. And this is going to be a night to remember, so I want to introduce somebody to kick the thing off. He is the most famous voice, and he is the most famous nose in the history of wrestling on television. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lance Russell!
As Pat said earlier, yesterday would have been Lance's 100th birthday. Happy heavenly birthday. And listen, Pat Campbell, to this week. This is going to be the worst match. And let's go, while I clear my picture up, let's go to Pat Trammell for his comments about what we just saw.
Well, I mean, I think it's, I've never seen, and I've watched, and I've talked many times about, kind of my history with cable TV and getting it early and being able to see an awful lot of territory wrestling from my hometown in Talladega, Alabama. We watched a lot of Georgia Championship, watched a lot of Continental, watched a lot of Chattanooga wrestling, watched some down into Mobile because of all that. Saw some of Watts, saw a lot of it. But, the connection that the Memphis fans have, and I want to say this right, have to the promotion. There's, and this sounds corny, but it's almost a family. And I guess that's why we're sitting here today, because this is our family, and I'm thankful for it. But the celebration that you have in these Memphis memories and these Louisville Garden nights is something I've never seen anywhere else ever, anything even close to it. And it's really interesting from somebody who didn't grow up absolutely in Memphis wrestling. And Lucian, I agree with you. I did watch WWF on cable, pre Hulk Hogan, way pre Hulk Hogan. So, but the connection that the wrestlers, sure, because the baby faces always have a connection to the crowd, and Lawler always had a connection to the crowd. Thunderbolt did in Atlanta.
Dusty?
Bob Armstrong did in Pensacola, but you know, Lance's connection is something that kind of transcends all that, particularly.
There is no doubt about it. And again, we are having problems with my camera. And we still are. And wanted to tell you real quick, and I'll work on that camera in a minute. To tell you real quick, the idea, Pat, was PG-13 will get a credible win over a credible team. It was going into that night. I tried to book it for Saturday night in Memphis and Sunday night in Louisville. The Rock and Roll was working for Smoky Mountain Wrestling on a Saturday night. They could not come. So I could not do the Memphis match. So I could do the Louisville match. So the idea was I had one date on them, June the 15th. We went to a lot of thought process and a lot of discussion and taking that match real serious because I knew this would be the match of the night. There was no doubt in my mind. Right before they go to the ring, and it was going to be a babyface finish, an elaborate finish. It was going to be Wolfie D contributed a lot in that finish. It was going to be elaborate, but we didn't have an afterbirth. Right about the time we go to the ring, I asked Cornette, who was there, I said, hey, can I get more dates on the Rock and Roll? He said, sure. I said, idea just came to me. I said, Mondays and Tuesdays. I need them Monday and Tuesdays and some Saturdays for Nashville. He said, we can work that out. And I said, okay. So I did an afterbirth on the finish. So, okay, Adam, if you can go ahead and get the video up there where I can play with it, where Adam can I have to
the NWA World Tag Champions,
watching the
the
match
Rock and Roll
in
Express,
Louisville.
Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. Wolfie D and Robert starting out. This son of a gun should be a scorcher. As beautiful hip toss and an arm drag. And again, Wolfie D. With all of their carrying on, the hubcap,
This is a match,
the
Pat,
talk, and all
that
of
made
that. Let me tell you,
PG-13
these guys
through
can wrestle.
main eventers.
Obviously, I don't have to make any conversation about the Rock and Roll Express. They have established themselves by holding titles for most of the time they have been in professional wrestling. Some people say, well, they're in the twilight. Get out of here. These guys are still just kids. Over the top and down, Robert Gibson. Hammers Wolfie D hard on the mat. I think the one thing that is most often said by people who step in the ring and look
with
at
the atmosphere and the
PG-13
crowd
is,
reactions.
well, these guys are too little. What are they
Match
doing
here
in
at
a
the Louisville
men's
Garden.
sport? Dean Hill, the Louisville announcer, sitting here with us. Dean, you know, we were just commenting about most people when they see PG-13, they make the mistake of saying little team. Have you heard that?
Okay, for some reason, Pat, you were breaking up audio.
What a lot of people don't realize is size isn't exactly everything that makes a professional wrestler. It's knowing the moves. It's knowing the way the ring feels that in particular day. It's knowing the weaknesses of the opponents that you are in the squared circle with. PG-13 has had a lot of very large professional wrestlers that have come in here thinking that they're just going to run roughshod over them, and they've left with a great deal of respect for Wolfie D and the Iceman.
They just flat. Looking at JC over there, flexing those pecs. Now, this is not Mr. America exactly, but brother, I'll tell you, when it comes to heart, the big word that goes with PG-13 is determination. I've never seen a more determined pair. Oh, ho, ho, ho. There is a little Professional jealousy working both ways. Ricky Morton reached up, and he slapped the taste right out of J.C. Ice's mouth. And believe me, J.C. takes that from no man. But he's in there with a pretty good one, as Ricky on a standing side headlock just had the little edge on him and holding on to it tight. Corey, this is going to be a goodie before it's over, buddy.
Oh, I promise you it will, my friend. This is going to be a humdinger.
June the 15th, 1995. Over 30 years ago. Coming up on 31 years ago. Feud talking Memphis wrestling this week. More video to come. And more of the Smoky Mountain USWA feud.
Challenging JC Ice, Wolfie D, PG-13.
Coming up. But next, rare pictures of the fabulous Jackie Farley.
Robert Gibson jumps in with no tag. Yeah. Robert with no tag in there, just leaped over the top rope.
Corey, you and I agree on 99%. I saw a tag from Ricky Morton. It's one of the slick things that they do. He made the tag before he made the whip. The referee evidently saw it because he let him in there. He did, in fact, tag Robert Gibson.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe I need some more glasses here. Because
It's one of those slick.
It was quick.
Oh, you bet.
These guys are so quick. They've been working together for so long, Lance, and they've got such a great chemistry together. And it manifests right there. Great move from the Rock and Roll Express. I apologize to Rick and Robert. I didn't see it. It was so flashy and quick in there. But that's the way these guys work. Reversal. Whoopie knee. Whips Robert Gibson into the turnbuckle. And Gibson catches him with that knee lift. He caught Wolfie. Wolfie went running in full speed. And Gibson just lifted up that knee and caught Wolfie knee. Oh, man. Go over and they both nailed JC. Knock him right off of the ring apron.
We see Randy West a few minutes ago on the ring apron, running camera there at ringside.
Half of the crowd for the Rock and Roll Express, the other half for PG-13.
You know, it's kind of interesting. I'm looking at the expression on Rick and Robert, and I got to tell you, these guys are the absolute consummate professionals. Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. But I'm looking at the expression on their face, and they kind of resent these upstarts from the hood who have absolutely no fear of the Rock and Roll Express. And you can tell by the way they look at them sometimes. Look at that Wolfie knee go. Hammered him and then slammed his head into JC's knee. A double whip. And Ricky Morton doubled over. And he was buried into the mat. Oh! And Ricky kicks out, heads for the ring. Woo! Look at him go to that floor. What? That's another sign of a professional.
Yeah, indeed. What a great move by PG in there, too.
Absolutely a great move. As Robert comes back and jumps in the ring, I do not see, no. That is not the legal man rep. No, he made the tag outside the ring. I think as much as anything, Ricky Morton was a little embarrassed to be popped around by PG the way he did, and he wanted to turn it over to Robert, but the referee says, no way, get the legal man back in here, and here he comes. Robert steps out, Ricky back in, JC Ice. Ricky, as you well know, a second-generation wrestling family. Same thing with Robert Gibson, his brother, Rick Gibson, an outstanding professional. But of course, you look across the ring, come to think of it, JC Ice, Jamie Dundee, look at his dog, look at here, oh boy. They caught him.
Great heat spot there.
Was going to catch him hard, coming in with a double clothesline of his own. And they just met him with a foot stuck out, buried him down on the mat. And then Wolfie D's dad has some wrestling experience. So both sides, no strangers to professional wrestling. Robert Gibson.
The only difference I was going to say, Lance, is that Wolfie D's dad is probably the larger of any of them in there. As far as
He is a big guy.
Yeah, he is a big fella. Look at this, no tag there. I know I didn't see a tag that time for Rock and Roll Express.
Referee Bill Rush saying, how about the tag? And I believe he's going to let him stay. Rick Morton hammered him, took one, and exchanged with JC Ice. Look at JC. Whipped in. A reverse atomic knee. And JC Ice down hard on his face. Knew it was going to be a great one. It's still got a bunch to go. And it's turned out to be everything we thought it was going to. Ricky Morton going over to pick JC Ice up. We've passed the 10-minute mark. There's a whip into the rope. Sunset flip. But the referee over with Robert and Andrea, who is the newest addition, a lovely addition. One. He kicked out of it. Ricky Morton, just being smart, he was taking as much time to collect himself. He knew the referee wasn't there to count. Can I tell you, he beat the 3 count by about 4 inches of the hand of the referee. Wolfie jumps inside the ring. That's a mistake. Referee distracted. Watch what the Rock and Roll will do. Double suplex as they stand him on his head, drop him down on the mat, and Robert Gibson smiling about their activity.
Loving every bit of it. Robert Gibson, one half of the NWA World Tag Team Champions, backs up JC. Whips him in, ice.
June 15th, 1995, PG-13, against Rock and Roll Express with Ricky's wife, Andrea, the valet.
And now look over on the other side of the ring, Ricky Morton holding up JC, while Andrea, the new addition to the Rock and Roll Express, puts up 2 cents in the thing.
That's more insult than injury. He's been hit a whole lot harder already tonight than Andrea will ever hit him.
Yeah, well, being slapped by that beautiful lady Andrea puts a lot of insult. You're exactly right, Lance. And Andrea, she is smiling and grinning. She's loving it. Ricky Morton, Robert Gibson. Rock and Roll Express. Let me tell you, the Rock and Roll Express have been around for a long time. They've held all type of titles, as you've mentioned earlier here in this bout. But let me tell you, they know that JC and Wolfie can be a tough task. That's why they're doing all that they can do. They're pulling every kind of stunt that they can to be sure that they can get these 2 young punks, as they said in here earlier, to lose this bout.
Well, they, I can fully understand that when you've been the top dog for a long time and they bring a new puppy on the block and all of a sudden after a little seasoning that puppy becomes quite a household favorite, then you start to wonder, wait a minute, maybe we better get rid of these guys, and they start to resent it, and I think that's the case that we have here. Robert with a front face lock. There's a tag on Wolfie. The referee didn't see it. He will never let it work. He didn't. And now, Ricky holding and Robert pitching.
Didn't have any idea that this would go on for about 10 weeks. And all kinds of different variations. And that it would lead to what I think is the
NWA
best promotion versus
are at stake.
promotion feud
The NWA titles
that professional
of
wrestling's
rock
ever
and
done.
roll are not at issue here. There's a whip. Look at JC go under. Yes! Now the last time they caught him with a foot before he could ever reach him. This time he was too quick, got there and put them both down on the mat. Great move, PG-13. Wolfie hanging out far as he can. JC trying to get up. Wrong corner, JC Ice rolling back, makes the tag. Here comes the Wolfman. Wolfie, one to the other. Now we've got all four in. We don't want to see this match disintegrate into a street brawl. Look at Wolfie, 1, 2, and right at the last minute, Ricky Martin kicked out. Now it's a double whip. Double backdrop as Wolfie D down on the floor when Ricky up, climbs the ladder. Here he comes. And Wolfie gets out of the way. JC Ice climbs the ladder. Sails down, he misses. Ricky Martin, Robert Gibson, he misses. Wolfie up. Nobody's been able to connect. Did you see that complete front flip? Robert covers him. Referee down, 1, 2, and out of it kicks Wolfie D. Good night, Corey.
Oh, boy, I thought you were about to say 3 because I thought he had him. What a great, great bout. A night to remember. Louisville Gardens in Louisville, Kentucky. Sunset flip. He's got him over there, Bill. Referee Bill Rush. Such gets it 2. Rush has got a lot to keep up with in this thing. Very, very hard job. Look at that. Then Andrea dumps a whole handful of powder right in the eyes of Wolfie D. Morton covers 2. And referee Bill Rush stops the count. He's asking Ricky Morton, hey, what happened? What's the stuff in Wolfie's eyes? Wolfie rolls him up. He's got him hooked. 1, 2, 3. He had a 3 count. Gibson goes over, grabs Wolfie D. DDT's Wolfie. What a great, great bout. Action continues. JC comes from behind. Now it's Morton with a hubcap. He got him. 1, 2, 3, 16, 33 Lance. PG-13 retains the USWA Tag Team titles in 16 minutes, 33 seconds. PG-13 retain the USWA Tag Team titles. How sweet it is. Uh-oh. Andrea just walks over. She starts slapping JC Ice. What is she doing, Lance?
Rock and Roll came up from behind and nailed him as PG-13 went rolling after Andrea, who had slapped JC Ice twice. And then Rock and Roll came up behind him, nailed him, threw JC out, double drop kick. There goes Wolfie out on the floor. And there goes Rick down on the floor where Wolfie D is. The winners of the match. The winners of the match are PG-13. Robert Gibson and coming around. Yeah, it is. The Rock and Roll Express pounding on. Hey, what is this? Andrea, who is in the corner of the Rock and Roll Express, paints the back with yellow paint.
Did you see what she's got painted on it?
What is it?
Boy.
Oh, yeah, boy. Let me tell you. Now, they ended up winning that match in there, and fair and square they did. And look at her across the ring. And she has the spray paint that Brandon Baxter brought out here with a brand new hubcap trying to entice. I just don't understand what Ricky, what? And
Yes, I love it.
yeah. So what he does is he walks by.
June 15th, 1995. The Louisville Gardens in Louisville, Kentucky.
PG-13, although they don't look much like it right at this moment.
All right. Let's come out of it, Adam. All right. Now, here we go. June the 15th, 1995. I think watching that match, Pat, you see what the people wanted to see. Now, first question is, were you surprised by the reaction of PG-13? And in the first high-profile time being heels in their life, I want you to kind of elaborate on amazing job, because all of a sudden, the Rock and Roll Express was in the role of the Midnight Express, and they were doing a lot of the Midnight Express heel spots. I thought that was just tremendous. I really putting it over, June the 15th, 1995, really putting it over as we lead into it. Did I over brag on it, or your thoughts as we go full screen, Pat Trammell?
Two things I thought. One, I watched the match, and it took me about 3 or 4 minutes in to where I thought, wait a minute, the Rock and Roll are the heels here. Number two, after I settled into that, they were a lot more physical in this match and a lot less acrobatic than they usually are, or that I've my history with them was. But I'll tell you what, man, Wolfie, if Wolfie was born 5 years earlier, that guy would still be in New York. And Jamie was great too, but I think Wolfie is such a great wrestler, and I thought they worked off of each other. That was as good a tag team match as you're likely to see. You won't ever see a tag team match that good again.
Absolutely. So you were thrilled to death with that action, right?
I really was. The Rock and Roll. And look, they're professionals. They've been, I guess they both more or less grew up in, since they were 10 years old, right? I mean, yeah. I guess Ricky's dad's been refereeing all his life, and Robert and his brother been wrestling since they could remember. But they wrestled a different match than a Rock and Roll Express match against the Midnights, for example. They were a lot more physical. They were a lot more bullying. It was a lot different match. I mean, it was a great match, and it was good to see because, I saw the Rock and Roll Express in Atlanta for 3 years straight. And that was a great match all the way around. It was a lot better from a scientific standpoint than I thought I was likely to see.
It was absolutely fantastic. So, Adam, just keep it cued to where it is, and we'll come back to that, and we'll show some more action from A Night to Remember. This is very special talking Memphis wrestling, and in this part of the show, Pat, he's often imitated. He's never duplicated. The fabulous Jackie Fargo. And before we get to that, I have a question for you, because when you talked over that match, you were your audio wasn't coming across. Then later in the match, at times I was talking. I messaged you, didn't get a response. Messaged Adam, didn't get a response. Could you hear me talk over?
I could.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was.
One of the issues I may have, Randy, is I'm using my phone and the as you know, and the microphone is at the bottom and it's setting up on it. So
Right now we can hear you perfectly. We can
okay.
see absolutely perfectly. Adam, if you could go to the start of the Fargo pictures, and these are some real rare shots. And I want to go through this quickly, Pat. I have a Memphis airport trip to do in a couple hours, Pat. Just a little heads up on that. 5397, 5397, if we could start. And this is the absolutely most classic, oldest picture. He has to be in his 20s in this picture. And I see a big ass smile coming on the face of Pat Trammell. Here is the fabulous Jackie Fargo.
Damn, he looks like an insurance salesman, man. The head of the Kiwanis Club.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen this picture?
I've never seen that picture in my life.
Appreciate everybody making comments. Appreciate all the comments that you can. And if wherever you're watching, if you can like it, if you could repost it, we would like to build a bigger audience here. And if you could do that for me, we would appreciate it. Next picture. This is the fabulous Jackie Fargo. And I believe we'll see Roughhouse and Jackie, and we'll see Don and Jackie. I think this is a young Jackie and a young Don. Would you agree with that?
I think, based on what I can see, yeah, I would agree with that.
Next picture.
Now, that was that in New York, you think?
I think it was certainly not at Madison Square Garden. I think it was certainly on the East Coast. And Richard said, this is Don Fargo. This is Don Fargo. Next picture on Talking Memphis Wrestling. As I don't know if we've lost, and I think this is another picture of Jackie and Don Fargo wearing at the time the World Championship. Pat, did you ever see Don Fargo live in person?
I did. Yeah, I remember it, but I was a very young child. They would come to Birmingham. I mean, I never saw them live.
Next picture on Talking Memphis Wrestling is we're taking a look at the fabulous Jackie Fargo. This is Jackie Fargo with somebody he drew a lot of money with. Jackie with partners Jerry Jarrett, Tojo Yamamoto, and others, Eddie Marlin, other people. Had a great blood feud with Dr. Ken Ramey and the interns. And this is, do what?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This is Jackie Fargo and the intern. Next picture. And Adam, keep it going until we're out of Fargo pictures. And I think this is ruining the plan. This is Jackie Fargo and George Gillis. How about that?
Well, I wondered if that was George. I'll tell you. I'll say this about Fargo. He was very loyal to Nick, and I have to commend him for that.
Next picture on Talking Memphis Wrestling. This is a magazine.
And Saul Weingroff.
Why don't you go ahead and read what you see on this?
Chain Wrestling News, the official magazine of wrestling. Chain Match War. Jackie Fargo and Saul Weingroff. Steel bars.
Binds.
Steel binds.
Pride breaks. Only
one walks out. Now I wonder where that match was.
I think that was in Nashville.
I
think that was in Nashville.
Okay, Mr. Wrestling. Yeah, it was the Goulas baby faces and heels for sure. That looks a lot more fancy than generally you would see Nick put together.
Oh, I'm sure somebody else did it without a doubt.
It's a $1 program though. Okay.
$1 magazine, isn't it?
Magazine, yeah, that's right, magazine.
Next picture on Talking Memphis Wrestling, and this is celebrating his 100th birthday yesterday and having Lance Russell and the fabulous Jackie Fargo. That's fantastic.
That is fantastic.
And Richard's asking if me and you have heard of a promoter by the name of Jack Pfeiffer, and absolutely I have. Jackie Fargo's first promoter, and Christine Jarrett threatened to kill him.
Where was he, Randy? I've heard of Jack Pfeiffer too. Was he in Nashville as well?
Basically started in New York.
Okay.
Then he booked wrestlers all over the place. Do we have any more pictures in the Fargo line? This is Jackie in the dressing room looking great with that tattoo. Keep going as long as we have pictures of Jackie Fargo. Who's Fargo beating up, Pat?
I can't tell.
The King.
Okay.
1974. Big money draw. This is Jackie with who, Pat?
I can't tell.
Soul Man Rocky Johnson.
Okay. I knew it was a big body.
And I love this picture. This is Jackie and Roughhouse Fargo. This is Jackie and Sonny Fargo.
Okay.
This is just absolutely fantastic. Fantastic for sure. And that magazine deal, as Adam, I'm looking at the notes, the private chat, he's saying that magazine we were showing was AI.
Okay,
so the computer put it together.
That makes sense.
There we go.
Looked a little sporty for something Nick would put out.
How about that? And another one of Jackie and Roughhouse Fargo. They look like stars, right?
They do, and I wonder where that is. That's a You don't think
small venue?
Huh?
That's a smaller venue.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And as we look at here, and that was same as earlier, and we will get out of that right now, Pat, and we will come back and start with that Lynn Rossi deal. So now what we're going to do is just quickly run over this. As I said at the beginning of this show, the last great feud, the great last money drawing feud in the Memphis territory was right here. Somebody said they thought that was in Ripley, Tennessee, and I'm not sure about that for sure. And Scotty Mangrum saying Jackie was over in this territory. Absolutely sure. I'm going to run through this quick, Pat. So concentrate, everybody. Just see the depth of this. This is an old school Memphis feud. Week number 1, night to remember, PG over. That was on June the 11th. The return match the next week was in Memphis and the rest of the territory. This happened in week 1 after that match. Rock and Roll screwed PG-13 with Mark Curtis, the evil heel referee, causing the screw. Now, the way this happened, I had a finish in mind. Robert Gibson came to me earlier, had Mark Curtis, Brian Hildebrand, the Smoky Mountain referee, with him. And he said, Randy, do me a favor. He said, Mark or Brian, whichever way you want to call him, has always dreamed of wrestling at the Mid-South Coliseum. Said, do you have anybody that you can put under a mask and put against Mark in the opening match tonight? And I said to Robert, because it clicked in my head. It clicked in my head because I knew he was a Smoky Mountain referee. Clicked in my head. I said, no, Robert, we're not going to do that. And I thought he was going to punch me in the face, and he's not that type, right? He was heartbroken. I said, no, we're not going to do this. And before he had a chance to argue with me, I said, he is going to referee your match with PG tonight, and he's going to screw PG. And that was the start. That start of the feud. And so that's week number 1. Week number 2, Curtis did the screw again. I came out and I held up the titles. The next week, week 3, R&R beat PG. Week 4, PG beat R&R. PG and me were destroyed, absolutely destroyed, and bloody and battered. And in Louisville, it about caused a riot. And we had to sneak the Rock and Roll and Mark Curtis out of the building in a police car, going out the front door of that building, Pat. The heat was so much. The police came to me and said, all shaking, and said, man, we're calling for the riot squad.
Really?
And he said, there's thousands of people in that alley, and they're going to kill Rock and Roll Express and that Mark Curtis. I said, hey, again, we talked about it earlier about that situation. You have to think quick on your feet. I said, here. I said, Robert, give me the keys to your car. He handed me his keys. I gave it to the policeman. I said, one of you police people, they're not going to try to kill you. I said, y'all go out and get in that car. I said, in the meantime, before you do that, the people will still be in the audience. I said, Rock and Roll and Curtis, you go out the front door, get a squad car to come to the front door, and let's sneak the Rock and Roll and Curtis out of the building. And I said, meet at the liquor store on such and such street. I forgot the name of the street. So we do that. And so obviously the fans were disappointed when the cop got in the car, and there was all kinds of cop cars there. So they didn't follow the cop car or the cops in the Rock and Roll car. And we made it safely out of there. Week 5 had a Texas death match that at that point the heels went over. Week 6, we had another Texas death match. Week 6, the heels went over. Week 7, week 6 we had Tommy Rich a part of the equation. We'll watch that later in the program. Week 7, PG, Tommy and Doug, Smothers, Landell, and Gordy. At the same time, Jim Cornette had fired in Smoky Mountain Ricky Morton. I fired the biggest angle in years. I fired Rick Morton because Tracy Smothers and Rick Morton were going to kill each other. So that was another executive decision from both promoters, both companies. Cornette for Smoky Mountain fired one half of his top babyface team, and I fired one half of my heel team right there because it was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do because neither one of us, because they were threatening to kill each other. And
what was the heat about?
The heat was Ricky's wife, soon-to-be wife, Andrea, that we saw in that clip, and also Tracy Smothers' girlfriend got in a fight, and Andrea called the police, and Ricky and Tracy's girlfriend got arrested.
Okay.
So that is absolutely what happened there. Then week number 8 week number 9 was the blow off. Did over a $20,000 house, close to 5,000 people, with a major Rage in the Cage 10-man tag, including Rich and Doug and all kinds of people in this 10-man tag, including Lawler. Also a feature match was Randy Hales and Frank Morrell against Mark Curtis and Jim Cornette. Was one of those. Does that go home interview? I left myself off TV for 5 weeks.
What'd you say, Randy?
I left myself off the TV for 5 weeks. I left myself off TV. So then we blew it off. We waited for 3 months. We did the Smoky Mountain Feud number 2. Bob Armstrong got involved, and then Jeff Jarrett returned Jeff Jarrett returned November the 13th. Right now, we are going to watch some more stuff from the Night of the Legends, that great night in Louisville. And Adam, if you can put that back on there as this is the Fabs against Rich and Gil, and I am going to just run through this.
Comes back over and again knocks the ref.
Back it up a little bit. This is the end of Joe LeDuc and Jerry Lawler at Night of the Legends. Big Joe LeDuc probably making his first appearance in about 10 years.
Canadian lumberjack, the king up on a mellow road. He caught Joe LeDuc.
We just went ahead and joined the Duke Lawler match. Remember that card at the Woodford Gardens, PG and the Rock and Roll, Rich and Gilbert, the fabulous ones, all kinds of legends, a 10-man best of Louisville Battle Royal, and Joe LeDuc against Jerry Lawler. And what a card, Pat.
Hammering at Lawler right above us. Referee Bill Rush trying to get him out.
What a card, Pat.
Oh.
And now he is picked up. That may end the match right there. He just slammed the referee down on the floor. And LeDuc comes back over and again knocks the referee down. Lawler ducks under Joe. Goes over to see that Bill Rush is okay because LeDuc not only slammed him down, and that's going to be a disqualification for him. And the winner.
That was a bad finish.
And still the unified.
I take no blame or glory for that finish. If you like the finish, it wasn't mine. Now look, watch this. Let's go full screen with this if you could.
You remember him as the Angel, and brother, let me tell you, they didn't come any tougher than Frank.
That's the fastest I've ever seen Frank run in my life, Pat.
Our legendary Corsica Joe. She beat an awful lot of them. And what a lady. Once again, Sarah Lee. She held that U.S. ladies title herself a long time. They thought they'd never get it away from her. She would get in and strap with them in or out of the ring. Cora Combs was a winner. Once again, in our parade of legends, Cora Combs.
Cora looks like up around.
Our next legend is a guy that you didn't necessarily
Look at dark-haired Randy Hales, Pat.
Yeah.
Coming down to the ring, a guy that earned every bit of it. Legend Jim White. Let me tell you one thing about it. When this gentleman got inside the ring, there was one way, his way, and that's the way he called them. And he made it plain to anybody that was in there. And if they wanted to battle him, step up and call out my name, Tommy Marlon. Yeah, he could still go. I just can't tell you the number of times that we sat there and wondered, what in the world will that team do next? One thing we didn't have to wonder about too much was the fact they're going to win, because they found some way to do it. Once again, legend Phil Hickerson. Bob's still ready to get there and get it with the best of them. Bullet Bob Armstrong. Thank you, Bob, for great memories. He is with us tonight and is certainly legendary. The French-Canadian Joe Ledoux.
Watch this,
Joe
Pat.
Ledoux. Every place there's wrestling, you go to the old wrestling fans and talk to them about it and say, hey, you know that crazy Canadian? You're talking about Joe Ledoux. Here he is, one of our parade of legends here tonight.
Randy West running the camera.
Nobody yet has been able to tell Joe to do anything that he doesn't want to do. We appreciated having him here on this night to remember. The Tag Team Championship, a long time. Just a plain, ordinary, tough son of a gun. Let's bring out Eddie Marlin. You remember the team of Eddie Marlin and Tommy Gilbert, Southern Tag Champions. I'm delighted to say, and not only call him a champion, a friend of mine too. Eddie has done so much for wrestling since he's been out of the ring actively. In our parade, Eddie Marlin. Our next member in the Parade of Champions tonight is a guy that when I first saw him, I just had no idea there'd be any way in the world. No, I'm not really sure that he's big enough and tough enough to make it in this business. Can I tell you? He proved he was in spades. You remember him as not only an outstanding single wrestler, but an outstanding member of one of the most feared tag teams around. We're talking about the team of Jerry Jarrett and Tojo Yamamoto. Here is Jerry Jarrett.
The most over babyface in the history of Louisville. The band that about choked on its tobacco earlier in the night.
Brother, let me tell you, he earned every bit of it. And that boyish look fooled a lot of them. They got in there and found out he could do his share of whipping Jerry Jarrett. Jerry. We've got one more legend that we want to honor here tonight, and I'm going to call my friend and general manager of the USWA right down here on the floor to take over the mic and do the honors on our next honoree, Randy Hales. Randy.
Thank you very much, Lance. First of all, I have chills going all over me growing up as a wrestling fan. I'm from Jonesboro, Arkansas. I think everybody knows, watching Eddie Marlin, Jerry Jarrett, everybody here. And I want everybody to know how much I feel about them. And I'm sure everybody here tonight at the Louisville Garden right now would like everybody to know, Lance Russell, you know I love you. Everybody in Louisville appreciates the great legends of Louisville wrestling. We all know all the great legends here, but there's one special lady I would like to make a few comments about. Behind the scenes, she has been the major force. She came up to Louisville in 1970. She came to the Louisville Gardens for 25 years, up and down the roads, working 20 hours a day. She is the lady that made Louisville wrestling what it is. She is the lady that made Jerry Jarrett what he is. She is the lady that I would like to bring out here last night in tribute, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Christine Jarrett. We would like to honor tonight long-time Louisville wrestling promoter, the mother of Jerry Jarrett, the grandmother, of course, of Double J Jeff Jarrett, of Jason Jarrett, Miss Christine Jarrett, returning after a couple of years' absence tonight to the Louisville Garden.
Okay, you're going to read the plaque.
June 11, 1995, on the 25th anniversary, a special tribute to Christine Jarrett, the first lady and longtime promoter of Louisville wrestling. Miss Christine, we love you.
You said it very well, Randy, and it is sure true. Without this lady, there sure wouldn't have been any Louisville wrestling. She did it. Thank you, Christine, from the bottom of our hearts. We've got one more honoree that we want to get to tonight. The fabulous Jockey Fargo! Their palling, it's been too long. Nobody in the world can do it any better than the fabulous Jockey Fargo, as we've learned 1,000 times before. He's a great one, often imitated, but I will guarantee you, never duplicated, the fabulous Jockey Fargo. Let's hear it!
Jackie, there isn't but one guy that can come up here and live up to all of the things that have been said about you. You're the man who does it with grace, and you do it so easy. You got that easy smile, but boy, when it came to getting tough, you could do it like nobody else. We're delighted to have you here in Louisville with us night to remember, and you've made many a nights that we remember.
Thank you. Thank you. A life dream for me has come true. If no one like myself could accept this from such great fans, I've never been lost for words, but I'm just about to cry, I don't mind telling you. I love you very much. What a great honor to come to a wonderful city like Louisville, have such distinguished people around me. I don't deserve it, but I certainly thank you. I had a dream as a little boy to be a professional wrestler. I didn't go out and get to play football and basketball, but I worked hard. And with your help and the love of God, I give God a lot of credit. He did it for me. I'll never forget you as long as I live. I love every one of you, and thank you so much for a great honor. Thank you.
Jackie, congratulations. You deserve every bit of it. I got to tell you, there are records in this United States that he and his brother still hold for attendance. An absolute legend in his time, Jackie Fargo. Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go home. We have an absolutely unbelievable main event to find out who is the best of Louisville, and we're going to be getting to that in just a moment. Thank you very much, and bless you.
All right. As we get out of that, so I am as fired up and excited. Pat, I have no idea if you've ever watched that part of the clip. Your thoughts on that?
I have not watched that part of the clip.
Thoughts?
Two questions I have. What was Joe LeDuc like in the back in the dressing room? And two, you know, Jackie Fargo had probably not wrestled actively in Louisville in 15 years at that point.
I would say.
And everybody came out of their seat for him. That tells you something.
That tells you what emotion does. And just because the whole wrestling world, no, people are not attached to name big stars. Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, a lot of fans, making a lot of money. Do you think 15 or 20 years, or even today, look at the comments. Scotty Mangrum saying that was amazing. This is decades after Fargo. It's 31 years ago almost that event, Night to Remember, took place. And you could tell the love of the people 31 years later. It's just amazing. So what stood out to you? Because I can tell you, first of all, I answer your question. Joe LeDuc was the nicest human being in the world and a quiet guy in the dressing room. And he'd talk to you. If you talk to him, he'd just sit in his chair and meditate to somebody come and talk to him. He's the nicest guy in the world. What stood out to you more than anything else during that ceremony? Mine, of course, I was involved in it, and that's not the reason why, but certainly my idea and wanted to do. The Christine Jarrett thing, I thought was amazing. What stood out to you?
Well, you know, you're stealing my promo here, but it is amazing to me, and I'll tell you, Memphis fans, Memphis territory fans, not just Memphis, but Memphis territory fans are different. That they're not. They're not there to see a show. It's, I mean, you know, and I think you said this. I've heard Cornette say this as a fact. You know, on Saturday morning, 63% of the people in the zip code were tuned to Memphis wrestling. And, you know, we've got people, I mean, I'm 63 years old, and we've got people on here older than me, and we've got people here around our age that were at the Mid-South Coliseums every Monday night as they could. But for a crowd of wrestling fans to understand the impact of the promoter, that was not, you know, Christine Jarrett was never on the mic. She was never cutting promos. But the respect that they showed was incredible. And a tribute to you for making that happen.
Yeah, it was just a great night. Absolutely a great night. For just a second, let's take Pat off the screen as Suzanne is oh, I think she's gone now, but you had a little run in the middle. Hi, Suzanne. How you doing? You doing good?
I'm doing good. Thank you. How about you?
Did you bring Pat some food?
Yes, I brought him his slippers and his pipe and his um, food and just whatever else I can do to serve him.
You're so nice. I tell him all the time. He needs to keep you. Miss Suzanne, Miss Suzanne Trammell, everybody. Miss Suzanne Trammell. Let's go ahead and look at Scotty. Hey there. Hi, Suzanne. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. How about you?
I'm doing good. First of all, how's Meg and Wyatt?
They're good. They're good. I just talked to Meg a while ago, and she's having dinner with some friends up in South Carolina. And Lord only knows, let's see, it's St. Patrick's Day. So Lord only knows where Wyatt is.
Where's the dogs?
The dogs are in there by the fireplace. They've got it made on their bed.
It was cold. It was cold in Arkansas today. It was 20 degrees when I got up this morning. It warmed up. It's 42 now. What is it there?
What is the temperature here? I don't know, but I thought it was cool. I thought it was warmer because the sun was out. When I got home, I was going to take the dogs for a walk. I had a sleeveless shirt on. I walked outside and came right back inside and put more clothes on because it has been cold.
Yeah, it's been cold here.
Was it snowing like crazy on Monday there?
Do what?
Was it snowing like crazy?
Oh, no. It didn't snow a bit. No.
Snowed like crazy here, and then it just dried up just like that. There was nothing on the ground. It was crazy.
It was crazy.
It's 39 degrees. Come here.
Oh, I gotta go. Gotta let him back in his seat. Good to see
you. All right.
you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Great to hear from you.
Thank you. You too.
Come see me next time you come to Jonesboro.
Okay.
All right. Miss Suzanne Trammell in the house. You see that nice, pretty young lady, and you see that nice, pretty young lady, and how in the hell did you outkick your coverage, Pat?
She thought I had money.
She thought?
She thought.
A couple of things. Eddie Cox says, my grandmother, my sister, and I were Monday night every week in the studio every Saturday. Eddie Cox says that. The comment from Scotty Mangrum right before, well, we'll see. Eddie Cox says, I'm almost 57 years old, and Memphis wrestling was my life. As we do Scott Mangrum's comment, I don't remember a Saturday night that Christine didn't take my tickets at the fairgrounds. She was there every night those doors were open. As we love these memories, we're going to watch a video right now, and Adam, you got to do this one for me as we go back to where you have control of the videos. It made me nervous having controls of the videos, all having to cue live on the show and that sort of thing. I talked about the Louisville situation where we had death threats on the Rock and Roll and Mark Curtis. We had the police get involved. We had an escort. The cops had to take Robert Gibson's car, and we had to sneak the Rock and Roll and Mark Curtis out of the ring. It was totally chaos. Pat, would you like to see the match that made the people so mad from the Louisville Gardens?
Love to see it.
6 minutes, 3 seconds. Smoky Mountain versus USWA part number 3. As we go back in time to probably late
and it turned into a series of matches with Rock and Roll Express from Smoky Mountain, the NWA World Tag Champs, and PG-13, because PG-13, you were here to see him from the very beginning. Yeah. Both of us were here to see Rock and Roll Express and Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. We knew them when they were just kids running around. They're both second-generation wrestling fans.
Adam, let's cut that and restart it after I make a comment, okay?
Absolutely work as a team.
If we can go ahead and stop this, and then we'll, I want to rewind it, Adam, or do I might have to. I don't know. Oh, no, you were able to do it. the little things in wrestling count. So we had this top feud going on, and I don't know if you were concentrated on this. Listen closely, audience, and I want you to listen, Pat, real closely to how Lance and Days get this over. The Rock and Roll did their part, PG did their part, me as the booker, Mark Curtis, everybody did their part. But when it came to TV, you have to convey that with somebody with credibility. And I want you to listen, and I won't talk over this till this tape is over. I want you to listen to this closely.
And it turned into a series of matches with Rock and Roll Express from Smoky Mountain, the NWA World Tag Champs, and PG-13, because PG-13, you were here to see him from the very beginning. Yeah. Both of us were here to see Rock and Roll Express and Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson. We knew them when they were just kids running around. They're both second-generation wrestling families.
A couple of kids who molded into one of the finest tag teams ever.
Absolutely work as a team like nobody I've ever seen before, and that's the reason they've been able to hold the world title. Something happened on the way to the bank, as they say. Rock and Roll Express, and we've got a theory which we'll save and tell you a little bit later about what happened on it with PG-13 and everybody else. But right now, what we want you to do is go back with us. Randy Hales, I don't think it's any secret. Randy has been like a son to me. I've known him since he's 10 years old. He's a guy that's always wanted to be in wrestling, and I have a very special place for anybody who works that hard. He was in the corner of PG-13. Here's a young team, brash, no question about it. Folks love them because they can go out and tell you what they're going to do, and they get the job done. Against Rock and Roll Express with Mark Curtis, who bears the handle of the senior referee for Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and that's something that's a misnomer to say the least. You take a look and tell me.
Warning, this is bloody and graphic.
Looks like another switch, and the Summers, JCS on a sunset flip. Winners and USWA Tag Team Champions, PG-13. Again, they're taking the spur. The Randy Hales is bleeding in the ring. Mark Curtis taking the opportunity to come off the top rope. And pit referee Joe Wheeler, Iceman, just regained his composure. Out of control, ladies and gentlemen. I don't understand this, but this is getting totally out of control. They are ripping Randy Hales' clothes off of him. They are attacking him. They got the blood is flowing from Randy Hales. Now Joe Wheeler gets one as well.
This is heat, Pat. This is heat. This is drawing money heat.
Has had all kinds of awards through their wrestling career. I don't know why they feel like they have to go to this point, but they are just.
Yeah, Eddie, here comes.
Randy Hales in the middle of the ring.
The spur is out.
Ricky Morton showing no mercy, has a spur off the cowboy boot and is attacking Randy Hales. Mark Curtis, someone has got to get Randy out of the ring area. I'm going to try to get Randy out of the ring area.
He really does.
Scott Stead into the ring area, trying to save Randy Hales from the onslaught. I mean, the blood is flowing. This is unbelievable. Ricky Morton puts the boot over the top of Scott Stead. Joe Wheeler back into the ring area. They are pummeling everyone with this PG-13 hubcap. Randy has had his shirt tore off of him. He's bleeding seriously from the forehead. Mark Curtis again puts Randy in the headlock and is doing more damage, choking him. Meanwhile, Steve Dunn goes for the ride over the top rope. Rock and Roll Express, this is unbelievable. The fans are going crazy here at the Gardens. Some of them are actually pushing towards the ring area. The police are keeping their eye on everyone, trying to make sure that we Keep him behind the barricades, but this is out of control. Referee Joe Wheeler taking another shot.
He let the heat go. He let the heat go.
The crowd beckoning for someone else to come from the back.
People had come from the bleachers to around ringside.
Trying to get ready.
As we keep going and going and going.
Ricky Morton keeping me at bay as well, trying to get Randy out of the ring area.
I told Lawler, I said, don't come till it looks like the people are all right.
Robert Gibson threatening me as well.
He said, what if they kill you? I said, that'll draw money next week.
The King and the Handsome Jimmy are making their way towards the ring. My goodness, Rock and Roll Express.
Now watch how Randy does these flips at the end.
Again, the Rock and Roll Express. Ricky Morton saying something to the crowd.
Now legitimately, the first 8 people came to the ring. We didn't call for them. They thought I was dead. Look at these clips.
That's the first aid.
Who's bringing the stretcher?
Personnel that are in there tending to
It was
Randy.
the first aid room.
Like
The people
Dave.
from the first aid room of the building.
Okay.
He was just, well, you saw the amount of excessive beating the Rock and Roll Express and Mark Curtis in particular. And one of the things that's...
All right, let's get out of that. First of all, did you understand, Pat, what I was talking about? How Lance and Dave was setting that up?
Yes, yes.
Did you understand what I was talking about when I was saying, I've said a million times, heat draws money. Heat draws money. And in the wrestling business, I wasn't a wrestler, but with those fans in Louisville for several years, they saw me every week, and I was the spokesman and the promoter for the company. So they didn't want to see me get beat up. I was a babyface then, and they were pro there. So that was just magic. Do you agree? And have you watched that before?
I saw that not too terribly long ago, and it was. And I'll say this: I was sitting here thinking about this. You know, you went from heel to babyface within the promotion better than any owner, president, founder, manager I've ever seen. You were good at that.
Now I want to go to the next video, and again, always have to give credit to Lance and Dave. This next video, video number 4, is 5 minutes and 34 seconds. So if we can go ahead and play this 5 minute, 34 second video on Talking Memphis Wrestling, as I think Adam...
to death was when I went back to the first aid room and I was talking to the ambulance people who were there, and they had told me Randy's blood pressure was like 140 over something in there, and boom, just that quick, it dropped 30 points down to 110. And it was one of those things that I've seen a lot of matches, seen a lot of guys get beat up, and you have too, Dave, by the bunches of them, but when it's somebody who is personally involved with it, it's a little bit different. And the circumstances,
and
that's
Randy's
what I
not
think.
a wrestler, for heaven's sake. I mean...
And Curtis, we mentioned it during the commentary of the match. He pulled, I'm telling you, he did. We saw him. He pulled off that spur off of the boots that he was wearing. That's what Ricky Morton had, and that's what he got to it. I was saying I had a theory about it. I think what it was, Rock and Roll Express, they started right here. The kids came into fruition as one of the great tag teams that we have ever seen. I mean, really, they still work as a tag team like nobody else around, hardly. But what happened? Time passed. They lost it here. They lost it there. They got the titles back and so forth. Not to say they can't go. But all of a sudden, they go against PG-13. I really look forward to that match. Got in there, had a heck of a match. But rock and roll with rabbit ears, they heard the way the crowd reacted to them. They heard them come in there and say, whoa, what happened to you folks? We were your favorites, and now you're rooting for PG-13. And I think they kind of got a little worried, not only from an ego standpoint that was happening, but from a challenge standpoint that maybe this scrawny little team that they talk about had more going for them than they thought. Well, I can tell you one thing, they have a lot to worry about. Rock and Roll Express, I absolutely cannot believe what they have turned into. And Mark Curtis, you're no head referee, you are a thug. And I say that without any hesitation at all. Listen, you want to know why? Take a listen to this interview coming up with Rock and Roll Express, and that will tell you what they are like. Take a listen to it.
I can't believe it. Randy Hills, what did I tell you? I told you, Randolph, if you stuck your nose into our business, not just Rock and Roll Express, but Smoky Mountain Wrestling, the NWA, if you stuck your nose in our business, that you were going to get hurt. Only in my wildest dreams did I ever believe how bad we were going to hurt you. Everybody in the Mid-South Coliseum, young fans, old fans, even that old decrepit old fossil Lance Russell had a tear running down his eye, just like that old Indian in those commercials. Does anybody ever cry whenever their promoter gets beat up? Like Don King? Nobody cares about Don King, but apparently in Memphis, everybody cares about you. We did it. Smoky Mountain Wrestling. It doesn't matter who it is. All the stars were upset because their promoter got hurt. Brian Lee, from the top to the bottom, the good and the bad, they were horrified at what we did. And we did it to the best of our ability. We did it because we're the true outlaws in professional wrestling. Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And Ricky, what do you got to say about the PG-13?
You know what amazes me? How these people think PG-13 are the greatest heroes of all time. Well, these heroes, what could they do? Because they was laying there helpless in a pool of blood. All we want to say is, guys...
Randy, did he break in Memphis?
No. You see, guys...
No, he broke in with Cornette.
He was there.
He broke in with Cornette
or more
in
all
like
the
Philadelphia.
USWA wrestlers to come to the ring.
Okay.
To get rubber dye.
I'm sorry, I had to step away. I had to get a charge from the
20 of them,
phone.
Robert. What's that make us? What does that make the Rock and Roll Express, and what does that make Smoky Mountain Wrestling?
Number one.
Now, after all the ambulances, the people climbed up, flood, the police, and everybody being down there, what happens? Eddie Martin gets up out of his wheelchair, goes over and calls Bob Armstrong, commissioner of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and demands that we come back to Memphis. But you know what's better than that, Robert? PG-13 wants a Texas death match.
Eddie, I think you're right. I think I heard that somewhere.
Didn't you learn your lesson last time? What are you thinking, idiots? What are you thinking? A Texas death match. Balls don't count. No disqualification. Balls count anywhere in the building. Guys, what are you asking for? You cannot stop this match on account of blood. You can't stop this match because you knocked the referee down. If it's one of USWA's, of course. But guys, you understand this. If you think in your head for 1 minute that you're going to come and get revenge on the Smoky Mountain Wrestling or the Rock and Roll Express, you remember this, guys. Everybody has an opinion. And you know what our opinion is. This time, guys, you're not going to walk out. You're going to be laying in a hospital bed right beside Randy Hill. See ya.
So again, Pat, your thoughts on how Lance and Dave set that up, and tell me two announcers that wasn't performing. They were talking to their friends, the audience, and they were concerned about their friend, the promoter, and just the way they told the story, what happened on the way to the dance with the Rock and Roll. That reaction from Dave and Lance sold us tickets. Do you agree?
I agree. And you know what, Randy? I mean, I'm not here to shine you or anything, But that's stuff that had not been done before. That is just stuff that had not been done before. And they had the audience as a part of that whole thing.
From woe to go. Now we have more video. This feud lasted part 2. We'll continue this next week. The invasion at the TV station. We're going to play it today, but we're out of time. The invasion, Tommy Rich, the hero, all kinds of stuff. Big show last week. This was a different type of show, heavy on video, heavy on history, covered all kinds of stuff, including great pictures. Your thoughts? Do you think you picked the perfect show to make your triumphant return to Talking Memphis Wrestling for your final take?
For my final take, I'm just very glad to be home. I'm going to be very excited when I get my computer fixed back up, and when we get me and you and Michael and Chris and Doc back on our regular schedule, and everybody's in and out as they can be, and I get to be with my friends again.
All right.
Glad to be home.
It was a pleasure having you here, and we had your better half, Miss Suzanne Trammell, doing a run-in. Right?
That's right.
Oh, Randy is always the workhorse. Randy's going to leave in a little bit and go to Memphis and bring an Arkansas State basketball player that went to Costa Rica. I'm going to pick him up at the airport at midnight and bring him back home. So I keep going.
There you go, RH.
So somebody says, were there any Smoky Mountain thugs who don't wear mullets? I think there was a few. Richard says it was a great show, and we did too. Adam did a great job producing. Pat did a good job in his return. Eddie says, from what I saw of it, this was an awesome show. You need to go back and watch the entire show. A lot of history, and that's what we're all about. I know what my goal is. What's your goal for the show every week? Or for us to present uniquely to the audience, Pat?
Well, from my perspective, I learn something new every day, and we go through the run sheets, of course, and talk during the week, and all of that kind of stuff. But a couple of things I like. Number one, I like seeing the people I grew up with, and like getting the backstory from you on what the actual angles were going on and who was doing what. But I also selfishly like to hear how your promoter's mind works. And I'm like, as much as anything, being here with all our friends.
What a great audience we have. We have an absolute great audience. 7 minutes late, but that ain't too bad for Pat Trammell, who used his cell phone. That's another thing, Pat. That cell phone worked out good.
It worked fine.
Your picture looks good. For Pat Trammell, I'm Randy Hills. Thank you, audience. Thank you, friends. And we'll see you next Tuesday on Talking Memphis Wrestling. Thanks, Adam Dunn, and good night.